Hey, welcome on in to another edition of Smart Chat here on YouTube.com, and I thank you for taking the time to look at this video. Do want to give you some of my raw thoughts from October the 3rd of 2016, and these thoughts are in no particular order. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Where do we begin? Roman Reigns and Lana there in that first segment. Did you notice how Lana kind of was not able to keep that Russian accent the whole time, where she actually broke it like a few times in that interaction with Roman Reigns in the opening segment there? That was pretty funny. I mean, it's already known, they already, you already heard Lana speak and not a Russian accent on, a movie that she was doing, and it was, on the WWE Network, her in a real voice some time ago. But I just found it pretty funny. As she was stumbling along in that promo, she... wasn't able to keep the Russian accent with some of the words that she was using. And it's the little things that matter to me. How is Roman Reigns making a match for the upcoming pay-per-view? Ain't that Mick Foley's job? That's what I thought it was. Speaking of which, cruiserweights, they were, you had Brian Kendrick against Nice, and Brian Kendrick against Nice. Nice did make his appearance, but Tony Nice, but I'm referring to Kendrick versus Perkins, and Kendrick with the strap. What they could have done to kind of get Perkins a little bit more over in the course was actually bringing up the fact that, Kendricks did mentor Perkins, even picking him up from school and training him, and this is a real story. This is something that they could have brought up earlier on, leading into, the Clash of the Champions pay-per-view. To kind of, get the sympathy on Perkins, to kind of had the match without any real, story. They were using vignettes of, two sentences, and people expect someone to be invested in a character. I think that would have worked, had they brought up that actually that this is Kendrick is the mentor of Perkins. See, what happened at the Clash of the Champions when he did the headbutt Kendrick did to Perkins. It's almost like people didn't know how to react. They were half cheering for the heel as opposed to the face. But Kendrick winning this is fine. I mean, it's still early. They still have some time to develop Perkins. Perkins even said it himself, on Twitter, that he's not fully over yet. But, I mean, it's still early. So, and I liked how they placed this match. This was more at the beginning of the card. It was the opening bout of the card, as opposed to kind of throwing the cruiserweights towards the end of the match. If you remember WCW, the cruiserweights were always at the beginning. They usually opened up Nitro. So this is a good touch that they did. Swan against Nice. Swan is, I think he's starting to get over. Starting to work. I think the crowd is really getting into him. Against Nice. Nice, if you remember, he was, around the block as well TNA. He was on the East Coast here on the Independents. So I like that matchup as well. And I'm giving the cruiserweight division here a shot, and I'll continue to give it a shot. They just need to know how to do it strategically. Another thing here I wanted to kind of bring up. Jericho, man, doing by far his best work. His best work of in recent memory. Getting potted plants over. Getting stupid idiot over. Getting the word it over. Getting the list over. I think Jericho kind of like thinks to himself, what's the most absurd thing that I could try to get over? And then he challenges himself and tries to get that over. It, stupid idiot. Friends, best friends, my best friend. Man, I don't know. It's already been planted. It's already been planted where the best friends might not be best friends for very long. Kevin Owens basically left Jericho there for the pin, the interference by Seth Rollins with the pedigree. He got the pin. He got pinned by New Day. The breakup is coming. And Jericho actually even teased it when he said, well, Kevin, it's not like I'm challenging for your Universal title. I want to be tag champions. And we know what happened. But that whole interaction before the actual match. And again, why are these guys making matches? Jericho and Owens made a match against the New Day where if Jericho and Owens win in a non-title match against the New Day, they will get their shot versus New Day. But Jericho and Owens loses. But why are they making matches? The little things that matter, and the interaction between New Day and Jericho and Owens, phenomenal. Just goes to show you if you give wrestlers points to go off of, it could be magical. Now, granted, these guys are some of the best mic workers right now in the WWE, but still, if you just have bullet points, that goes over really, really well. Couple of funny lines, jumping the shark, and that was followed up with Xavier Woods saying, well, Kevin, speaking of jumping, when is the last time you jumped at all? Fat jokes, and the crowd went wild. That was probably, I think, my highlight of the night. What else do we have here? What else is of things? Something I want to bring up. Yes, the Sasha Banks, Charlotte. I don't understand why the title changed. Sasha Banks is champion again, and it makes me kind of like wonder why she ever lost the title in the first place. I know it was saying was that she was injured, but she was only injured for like 2 or 3 weeks. So what was like the whole point of this? I could see too that titles changing hands back and forth kind of build a feud and make it more memorable. So I get that part, but I kind of like Charlotte being the champion. I like her being the champion. I like the feel that the match was on last, the main event. Trish and Lita, was that the last women's match that ended Raw as the main event? I'm not even sure on that, but that was a nice touch. But it would have been even nicer if the match was just able to go in completely without any commercial breaks. When you have commercial breaks, it kind of takes you off the flow of the match, if you get what I mean. Seth Rollins, just skipping back. Seth Rollins, obviously a full baby face. He goes in, interferes with the Kevin Owens Jericho versus New Day match. Gives the pedigree to Jericho. And shaking hands with New Day afterwards. Interaction with Stephanie saying that the worst thing that Triple H did was marry you. It's Seth Rollins basically admitted, he was mentioning the WWE Universe, saying that he realizes that he did a lot of mistakes in that backstage interview with Michael Cole, that sit-down interview. So Seth Rollins is definitely, I think, a full-on face right now. You had Sheamus and Cesaro. Sheamus and Cesaro faced some jobbers. And it kind of like what you expected. They were like back and forth arguing. And, almost lost. Almost had a roll up. Almost lost a roll up. And they were trying to outstage each other. A few seconds before that, they showed them pulling in, into Raw and a rental, and they were complaining at each other that the other person got them lost, and it took forever to get there, yada, yada, yada. So this is almost like a rebirth of Kane and Daniel Bryan, that they can't get along, and eventually can't stand each other, and eventually they're going to get along again. I don't know, like I said in a video prior, that I'm not the biggest fan of this, but, I got to give it a chance. It had some, that interaction when they pulled up, had in the rental, it was kind of funny. I kind of chuckled. What I kind of chuckled at, too, is how they're trying to build up Gallows and Anderson now as being a team that's always kept their eye on the prize, and they're a force to be reckoned with. What they did in Japan. Is it too little too late after you do this all now, after you have them going up against New Day a gazillion times and they lose a gazillion times? Now it seems like they're trying to build them up again. Is it too little too late for Anderson and Gallows? I mean, I seen that vignette, how they were trying to hype up Anderson and Gallows, and I kind of chuckled to myself. Thought to myself, is it too little too late? Mainstream WWE fan doesn't know what Gallows and Anderson did in New Japan. If anything, they remember Gallows as being Festus. Is it too little too late? Overall, the crowd, I like the crowd. I think the crowd was into it. Maybe because it, is on the West Coast and it starts at 5 o'clock as opposed to 8 o'clock, a little bit earlier on in the day. Towards the progression of Raw when you're on the East Coast, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you start getting a little tired. So 3-hour difference, so I think that helped as well. Hope all is well. Look forward to speaking to you very, very soon.